Welcome to the Not Superheroes Cause Dads podcast. No, we can't fly. No, we can't shoot lasers or pick up giant buildings. But what we can do is help set the foundations for our families, be present for our kids, and come back generational cycles. On this podcast, we dive into everything dad related, from the struggles we deal with as fathers to what our favorite thing to barbecue is. Hello, I'm Sean Laurie. I hope you guys are having an amazing, blessed day today. Man, it's been the weather's actually been kind of weird out here. So hopefully y'all weather's been a little bit better than ours. But before we start, right, like always, make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. You guys know I appreciate the support so much. I don't take it for granted. Now, with that being said, I have my guy here. He's the host of the Dope Spot. At this point, it's like, he's like an honorary, I guess, co-host at this point. I'll be having him on. I always want to pick his brain on certain stuff, but my boy Jawan, how you doing today, man?
Excellent. Jay Wando, Jawan, Dro, whatever name you know me as, host of the Dope Spot. That's DADOESPOT. I appreciate you having me on, Sean. Not Superheroes, Just Dads podcast. It's a frequent player in my car. So, yes, like you said, like, share, subscribe, and not just do those things, but I'll actually take a listen to the episodes, and you'll find something on there that you really can use, whether you're a father, new husband, or whatever. Lots of gems on there. So, appreciate you having me on again.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, man. Shoot, we're not even gonna do icebreakers since we've been on here so much, you know what I mean? But if you guys haven't had a chance to, something I wanted to talk about, so if you guys haven't had a chance to see maybe online or listen to, so Shannon Sharpe, he has a podcast, and he's doing this thing, shout out to him, of course, and he had Michael Beasley. What you said?
The Club Shay Shay.
Yeah, Club Shay Shay, there you go. So Michael Beasley, if you guys don't know who he is, he's an NBA player, probably one of the most talented players that I've ever seen, but his career was cut short just because of different things. So he spoke on that, and a lot of different things, honestly, I felt like would be great to talk about, not only as fathers but as men. Something that stood out, one of the viral clips actually, was just labeling, right? That's something he really focused on. His story, to me, honestly, is a good example of that, of how we get boxed into certain labels, right? You're super talented, or you have a bad attitude, or, from your mistakes, your reputation, right? It, like, never fully escapes you. And it was like, Michael Beasley is very talented, but he's a screw-up. He's a knucklehead. I think he went to, like, 6 different schools in high school, different things like that, right? So, like, I want to ask you, bro, like, how has labels either from your childhood or early adulthood either stuck with you or other men that you've seen? Matter of fact, I'll answer my own question first. For me,
sure. Why not?
For me, but before I guess ask you, but for me, I've seen it. I haven't been, I don't think, labeled necessarily as negative. Well, no, there has been, because obviously, like, for example, I'm obviously, as y'all know, I'm a slim dude, right? So I've always been labeled as far as, quote unquote, the weaker one, right? Or, the one that is, which I am a nice dude, but I was always considered, like, really nice. So back in the day when I was younger, girls wouldn't talk to me because, oh, you're a little too nice for me, right? Just weird things like that. And I mean, I didn't have an issue with it because at the end of the day, they wasn't for me. But I just remember, I think I was in 10th grade. I was talking to this girl, and she broke up with me because after 2 weeks, she was mad that I wasn't trying to make a move on her. I'm like, I just started dating you, right? But it's just things like that. I've also seen it where I've had homeboys consider, like, quote unquote, a thug, right? A gangster, because of the way they dress, the way they carry themselves. And when you got to know them, they actually was far from that. They was one of the nicest people ever. I remember my brother, he would be better at telling his own story, of course, but from the outside looking in, he was labeled as just a football player. And that's something I know for sure that was difficult for him. But I've seen that often where, I saw it, like, seemed like that was the case for Michael Beasley. You're just this athlete. At the end of the day, like, you're only valuable to us when you put the ball in the hoop. You're only valuable to us if you hit home runs, if you uh, catch touchdowns, right? Whatever it is, you're only valuable in this moment. Other than that, we don't really want to hear what you have to say. That old cliche, I guess, from LeBron, right? The shut up and dribble, right? Like we don't want to hear anything you have to say if it's not entertaining to us or whatever we deem you as. And so those are little things like that. It was nothing crazy, but for
That's not
me,
to
I
your
should say,
face.
yes, that's true too. That's true too. Because those, I guess it was one of those things too where now I think about it, I did have family members at times when I had certain things I wanted to do, certain things I wanted to accomplish. They looked at me like, no, that's not like, you're not capable of doing that, right? Like, that's not something that you should be trying to strive for because at the end of the day, like, that's not you, right? Just putting certain, um, I guess, their own fears or whatever on me. And that's something that I did have to work through some. I tried my best to act like it didn't bother me, but at times it did, of course. But yeah, bro, so I guess now, as I shared some, have you ever been in that or seen that for adults or other young men that you grew up with?
Yeah, first of all, I take on shout out like Mike Beasley, who really I feel like this is a great time for him to express himself in that space on that platform because he's done it before. He was on the pivot before. I think the one on one help. He was able to talk to himself with himself more with Shannon. He's talking to a little bit older gentleman, Ryan, Shannon, Fred. They older, but not as I don't think they're as old as Shannon is. So
Yeah.
it kind of seemed like sometimes Shannon was trying to like father him or unk him, like real talk, and he
Yeah.
just wasn't allowing it. Like he would ask him certain things or how could this happen or whatever. And he was like, bro, you're not listening to me. And for me, I was labeled as that. And even still, I may not enunciate my words. I mean, people have difficulty hearing me, but when I start talking to them in a passionate, more direct way, then it's like, whoa, before I was mumbling or before I was being too soft or I guess nobody ever said the word soft, but that's how I took it. Or being less aggressive or assertive. Now I'm threatening or I sound like I got something on my mind in my chest. I do. I do. This is my moment to speak about that. Before I didn't really have the support. I didn't feel like I had the support at least. So I was able to mature over time and really speak up for myself because I realized the benefits of that. And so, well, I was trying to stop saying and so much. As I grow and mature and grow wiser, my thought process is not looking back, but more so if I continue to go on this route, I can not only say what I need to say, but I can speak up on behalf of others. So I think that's what the Mike Beasley thing was. Same for you. Like as you were growing up, you were probably thinking, I'm doing this because it's the way I think it should be done. It'd be easy for me to just use my hormones and emotions and just go into it, whether she wanted to or not. And then you grow up and you're around guys and around women too, like that are like that. Yeah, we dating, but we trying to get it in. And that was actually for me, and we talked about this off camera. That was a benefit. I was raised by teenage parents who are still learning things right now. That I feel like if they had me later in life and they weren't being the way they were so early in life, they could have taught me a lot more. But you don't know what you don't know, right? So give grace to them, but I also understand that waiting has its advantages. Waiting has its advantages. Waiting and being patient with certain things can allow you to understand not only how you're receiving messages, but how you're delivering messages.
Mm.
And a little quick plug into my podcast, that's part of my DADOE is deliverer of empowerment. That's what my plan is. I want to deliver messages coming from my perspective. I can't really speak about how you went about it because I can share similarity in the story I didn't date a lot in high school. That just wasn't a thing for me because of certain insecurities. Because I wasn't having sex like other people were. I wasn't putting myself out there. I was insecure. Height. I was shorter, and I would get compliments and things like that. But it was like, you just saying that. So I didn't have my own self confidence. So I didn't know what am I going to do with this. What if she does want to do something and I'm not ready? How do I tell her not yet, or I'm good?
Yeah.
Especially growing up in the late '90s, early 2000s. From what I remember, that wasn't something that was a cool thing. I remember dudes getting picked at for being virgins.
Oh yeah.
Man, you got a bad one, and y'all just kiss. There's no way that y'all not doing something. Like, why was that so much pressure put on us? And so as we get older, we feel like we got to make up time. And I did that. I had my share. Thankfully, the Lord put the pause on it. Say, oh,
Yeah.
whoa, you're doing too much. You've done enough. We good now. And I was able to get my life in order. But man, there was a time. I don't regret as much as what's the word I could use? I don't know. I don't regret it, but it's just like I wish I had done it differently. I wish I had analyzed it a lot differently. If that answered the question. So not necessarily a label, but more so just how I was viewed. And sometimes I do continue to get viewed in that way due to my past or other people around me. We still see them as this, and it's hard to break. It's really hard to see someone outside of the character you want to see them as, or that you're used to seeing them as.
True. That's because I think to myself, right? Are we raising kids or assigning them identities like too soon, right? Like, so I look at like for me as a father, right? How do I make sure those labels are not attached to my kids too early, right? For them to know who they are, especially like I said, to go back to my brother, just because I saw how it affected him, and other people as well. But I want to make sure, so I tell my kids all the time, like, hey, you are, you're a brother, or you're a brother, you're a son, you're a friend, or you're a daughter, you're a sister, you're a friend, right? I make sure that, hey, you're all these different things that God has called you to be. You're not just one particular thing. And I want to make sure, like, obviously my son right now, he's taking basketball very seriously, right? For him at this age, like, that's what he really loves. But I make sure I make sure it's apparent, like, hey, basketball's not who you are, right? So the other day he was mad because he couldn't practice because he didn't finish his homework. And I'm like, I told him straight up, I can care less about basketball. I care less about any other thing you got going on. This is what you need to take care of, right? You're a student. Like, that's what you need to take care of first. So for me, I try to make sure that I'm raising the kids the best way I can, and make sure that they understand that they're not just supposed to be this one particular label. I don't want my daughter who draws really well to just think she's an artist. I don't want my son who loves playing video games, hey, you're just a gamer or something like that, right? Like, I don't want them to just be focused on these labels. And what happens is, when we focus on these labels and it doesn't go the way we want to, then all of a sudden, we're a failure. We're not a success. And that's how I looked at it with Michael Beasley as well, too, because, he had the NBA, dream, so the money, the fame. He got screwed over a lot from his story or whatever. But, right, like, it also told me, though, when I heard him, I'm like, success doesn't heal everything, right? Success doesn't fix who you think you are. Success doesn't fix those emotional wounds. And many men who achieve that, they achieve all these different things, but they still feel empty. And that's something I don't want my kids to experience. Like, I don't want them to be like, man, I accomplished everything, but yet I still feel broken inside. So for me as a father, I want to make sure that they're able to know who they are, but also be able to have emotional detachment, I guess, to certain things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you hit on some great points, bro. I hope I don't mess that clip up. But you hit up some great points, and one I wanted to talk about was like how you are raising your children, which in my eyes, in my mind, I know your kids personally. I think I met them all except Shiloh. I haven't met Shiloh in person,
No, not yet.
But when I think about success, when I think about what I know you to be, knowing you almost 2 years now, your success lies in fatherhood. This is why you're great at what you do here. So even if you had made it, obviously if you had made it to the league, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you, or maybe I would be. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, true.
But the fact that you didn't make it to the league and all these other things that I guess would have worked out did not work out. Flip that around. For him, he say he got 9 kids or 10 kids. Mike
Yeah.
Beasley, I'm talking about. I'm sure he would rather be a present father than to have all these quote unquote successes that we look at as success because he made it to a level that we didn't achieve. While other people are looking at your fatherhood, looking at your, you can work. Yeah, you got to work every day. It's hard work. But for basketball players, that's their job too. I hate how I can't stand how we look at an athlete as if they didn't work to get there. Oh, you just shooting a basketball. You just swinging a baseball. It's not just nothing. It's never just anything. I mean, you have people. I've watched. Oh my gosh, I've lived around the world. I literally lived in different countries, not just visited, but lived. Like family lived in places, so I got to see where Allen Iverson or Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, jersey is worn by people that could never see him. Not just they don't, they could never. They didn't have a shot, like, no pun intended, at seeing these people, right? Uh, and I met Shaquille O'Neal in person. I've dapped up Future in person, in real time. One of my favorite rappers, Currency. I got a picture with, people that reach these levels of success. Yeah, you're looking at it like they made it to some level, but I don't even know if I would want to deal with that, where somebody's using their experience with me as far as like meeting me. Or, oh man, I'm so glad to meet you. When there's so many other things I haven't fulfilled. So like you said, you're really only fulfilling a piece. Like you said, you made it to a level of success, but you're still broken. You may have everything. That's not everything. You didn't. Because the sport or the fame strips certain things from you that we can attain. We can go into hiding. This could be your last episode. I truly hope it's not, but this could be your last episode you record.
Yeah.
You're still gonna be a great dad. You're still gonna be a present father. For some people, once they hit that level, because they depend on it so heavily, anything outside of it becomes an issue. Oh man, you ain't playing ball no more. What are you doing? Mike did 1 year in school. I don't foresee him going back. I don't know if he would do a J.R. Smith, where J.R. he never went to college.
Yeah.
Played a whole career, and then he went back, and he'll be graduating this year. Same, we graduated in the same summer. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and it's funny, like even thinking about it. I'm born in '86. Beasley's, I think Jr. was '85. Beasley '89. KD, like all these people, we would have basically gone to high school together. You know what I'm saying? So whether it's choice, whether it's ability, whatever it may be, we all wanted something at some point in time. We all wanted to achieve a certain goal. Now, me being 5'8", I'm probably not. My chances are going to be way lower at basketball. That don't mean I couldn't coach. That don't mean I couldn't have some sort of attachment, like you mentioned earlier, to the sport. But I could also teach my children better things about the sport, about how to handle adversity. Yeah, I can't speak on it from a level of from the space of the next level, but I can say this is why I didn't make it. And this is how you can make it. With all focus on fatherhood, with all focus on allowing them to be who they are as children. Like you said, you got Junior to focus on school. So with that, if he can keep school first, the sport going to just be itself. Because while he's learning, when he gets to that point of geometry and higher level English or whatever else he learns in school, the playbook is going to become easier to him. How he goes about his handles and
Yeah.
reading offenses and defenses, it's just going to improve. So it don't really matter if his natural talent ain't really hitting where he may think it is right now. But like you said, you gave him a choice, and then it became like, okay, no, this is a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
You're going to do your schoolwork. I can care less because you already ingrained that in him. So it's like if I don't pass my classes, I can't play basketball, whether I love it or not, you know. And then I get on my own, that's going to stay in them. So I think that's a whole lot more impactful, and that is
Yeah.
showing more a level of success as a father than
Yeah.
actually making it and being one of the 5,000 people that say, okay, I made it to the league.
Yeah. No, true, bro. And I actually want to ask you too. So I feel like a big thing in that, if you again check out that episode if you guys haven't had
Oh
a
yeah, for
chance
sure.
to.
2 hours and
But
30 minutes, so buckle
yeah,
up.
yeah. If you have to take breaks, it's fine. But just at least watch 30 minutes of it, or something, 40 minutes, whatever.
Yeah,
But
it's worth
a
it.
big theme of that episode to me with Beasley was feeling misunderstood when it came to media, coaches, fans, family, friends, right? So, as men, I feel like we get judged a lot of times too without context, bro. And social media can play a part of it too, right? You'll have
Right.
family members or friends posting stuff or trying to paint a certain picture, right? Whatever the case is. But I want to ask you, bro, have you ever, experienced that as well, man? Where it's like, you've been misunderstood because people want to paint a certain narrative, right? Like we're being judged on how we're providing or how we're parenting or how we're not doing what they think we should be doing right at times. So like have you experienced, not obviously to the level of a Beasley, but still, whatever it is there times where,
It's relevant.
you have been misunderstood, and have you actually addressed it? Because I can speak for me where I have been misunderstood with things, and I'll be honest, I just let people say what they're gonna say. But I want to ask you, have you dealt with that as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yeah, as of recently, like, I'm gonna call real quick. But as of recently, the person who helped create me, brought me in this world. There had to be some boundaries set over the years, and we had a conversation in the last week or so where, okay, like I told you, I was born in '86. That would put me at 40 this year. Knowing that I had to operate as a son, a father, just in between that time as a grandchild, a nephew, a uncle, like all these, like you said earlier, all these titles and labels without proper guidance of my father, whether he was there via phone or living in the house. It's hard for me to hear that you want me to do something for you and expect me to just do it at this
Yeah,
point. So, and unlike you, or like you, for a long time I chose to let them think and say what they want. But what that did to me was allow other people to say and feel like, man, if I can't even tell my father or tell my grandmother, tell my grandfather, whoever, how I really truly feel, what am I? Why can't I do that? How am I? How is this fair to everybody else? You know, if I can't tell them how I feel, how is this fair to everyone else that I may snap at, that I may get an attitude with, or really speak my mind about? And it goes both ways. I can tell you how I feel about you, but then as a friend or whatever, but then yeah, somebody else that may be on a lesser or lower on the totem pole, and I'm kind of like, I'll just let them have it. Yes, you should be very selective about what you say and how you say it, but you need to let people know where you stand. I just that's just something I believe in, and I'm doing that more. So yeah, to answer that, yeah, I've had to address it, and it's caused some confusion. Almost like a why now? What do you mean why
yeah.
now? You think I was just gonna allow you to just talk to me like this all the time? And if I
Mm,
didn't address it before, that's at some point you had to know that either this was gonna happen or that you weren't just. Oh, excuse me. I felt like I'm one of the only people that says something to you. You know, you're like this with everybody, or you like this with a lot of people, or certain people. But you're so used to me or that other person just being like, ah, it's okay, that you think it's okay for everybody. And
mm,
we gotta put a halt to that. I've been making several Instagram posts over the past couple of weeks, and just kind of speaking on those topics where we set a boundary here, but then we don't here. That's almost like I'm gonna lock my back door, but I'm gonna leave the I'm gonna leave the front door wide open because that's basically what you're doing.
yeah,
You're you're a boxer and you're covering up your face, but you're leaving your body open. You know what I'm saying? And that just goes with people who are trying to protect their peace. Some people don't want peace. Some people live. I lived in a from 19 when I joined the military to 20. I say about 26, 27. I lived in a state of this chaos. I was going out everywhere, sipping drink, whatever I needed to do to get free from thinking about whatever I need to think about. And I'm just admitting this because it's what it is at this point. But I never really got to know who I was till after I removed myself or was removed from the military, and I think I allowed myself to stay in because of this image, because of this title. Oh, you the military guy. You in the Air Force like that. I held on to that till I really didn't know who I was. I really didn't have an identity. I just knew the rank on my sleeve. I knew what I got paid. I knew how others viewed me. I know I would hoop occasionally. I knew these things. But what I didn't know was how I was looking, how tired I was looking, how vulnerable I was making myself. Some stories I would tell myself, certain clubs I was in, certain females I dealt with, certain friends who weren't friends, and I was kind of playing the field, playing both sides, trying to be neutral. I know now how that made me look, but I had no ill intentions, but it didn't matter. Same with you with Shorty, like you had all intentions to be a good dude, which I'm pretty sure now if she see this, she gonna be like, man, I wish I would have preserved myself for him. That would have
Yeah.
probably worked out. But I digress. So yeah, man, just yeah, how would you how have you withheld yourself from speaking up on behalf, and what do you think is gonna change it once you do finally
I
break that?
mean, when people, I guess create their narrative or whatever the case is, there's times when I do try to address it with family or friends, right? And at the end of the day, people are so worried about, I feel like a lot of people are worried about their image, right? A lot of people are, you know, they want to create their own narrative where they want to act like something didn't occur, right, to make themselves feel better. And so for me, when it's that type of situation, bro, it's like, all right, no matter what I say, you're gonna hear what you want to hear, right?
Selective.
And so that's why at times for me, I'll take a step back, and of course, if it really comes down to it, yes, I'm gonna say what I have to say, but I also have to understand who they are and be okay with that, right? And just know like the people that really know me, the people that really rock with me, know what I stand on, know what I stand for, and be okay with that because I can't change what people think or anything like that, and not to add that extra pressure on me to try to change their thought process or anything like that. And
Yeah, I get it.
even with the pressure too, to I guess to transition the pressure that we deal with as well as father, as men. I actually did an episode when I last week, I think, about it, but the pressure that we don't talk about of also being gifted, right? Because I guess to go back to like Beasley, obviously super gifted, right? And I can imagine the expectations that come with that. So like for many of us, we're told that we have so much potential, right? We could do so many different things, and maybe even that potential, if it is sports or it is a particular lane, when we don't go in that particular lane, how I don't think we talk about how much of a toll that puts on us, right? Because I'll use my daughter or something. Like I said, she draws really well. If I instill in her head like, hey, you have so much potential to be an artist, to make paintings or to make a cartoon or something, right? You should be whatever. And she decides she wants to be a veterinarian, right? Does she feel like she's a failure now? Like, did I instill that in her? Because I see that at times with kids as well, where, they're gifted in a particular sport, but they're struggling mentally because maybe they don't love it no more. Or maybe they feel the pressure of, like, my parents is operating like they want me to make it so they can retire. They want me to make it so they can get, matter of fact, it's not even really about me, it's about them, right? They're trying to have the focus on them. And those are different things I think about as well. Like when it comes to my kids, it's like, I feel like all my kids are talented. I think most of us as parents feel like our kids are talented, but just making sure that they don't take on an extra burden and that I do a good job of making sure I don't create fake narratives and protect them from fake narratives, right? Like, I don't want them to start believing things that's not true. Because when I was younger, to circle back to what you said originally, there's certain narratives I used to believe in, right? There's certain narratives where, like what you mentioned, same with me, I had certain insecurities because of certain narratives that was being pushed and painted in my direction. And the people that were doing it, I think they were also misguided. I think they had their own issues they were dealing with. So at the end of the day, like I said, that they have their own I guess was it they got to do their own self search right in themselves. But
Yeah. Issue
so
you wouldn't even want. You were like, that's why you doing that, or that's
yeah,
why you feel that's okay to come to school like that. Oh
yeah,
wow, like I didn't know it was that bad. I didn't know that you were dealing with that. I don't deal with that. That's that's not my life.
exactly. So it's I don't know, at times, like, it could be, because I feel like even for me, I feel like I feel like God has blessed me with different gifts, different things.
Sure.
And that could be scary at times. That could be something where I can run from it, right? There's times I want to run from it because I'm not sure, because, I'm not used to someone telling me, like, no, it's okay. Like, win or lose, I'm right here with you. Like, I'm in the game with you, right? Regardless if you win or lose. So I'm thankful for my wife for that, because I know win or lose, we both go into the same locker room, right?
Mm-hmm.
we both just gonna, hey, all right, we go back at it at practice the next day or whatever the case is. But I wanted to ask you that too, bro, because I know for sure you're super talented. So many different things you can do, so many different connections. Me and you talked about this so many times where I'm like,
That's crazy.
or you have all these connections, all these different things.
Right.
I think even one time, out of love, of course, but I think I got on your head a little bit, like, bro, what you doing? Like, why,
Yeah.
whatever. But I want to ask you, and I think you share with me too. You was like, man, it's just, I want to have my hand in a little bit of everything. So it gets difficult at times. But I wanted to ask you, bro, like, for you, how do you deal with the pressure of having so much potential that you do have? And I'm not saying that just because you my guy, but like, that's what I see.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do when you feel that pressure with that? And then from what you're experiencing and what you're learning about that, what are you doing to help your kids when they are in that season in their life?
Cool, cool. I'll start with myself. It's really I want to just hit on gifts. This is the power of, and I may be using this wrong, but this is how I interpret charity. I have 12 hoodies. I'm just throwing a number out there. I probably got like 20 hoodies for real. If I don't give one of those hoodies away or gift one of those hoodies away, I'm just piling up. I have to now create or use the space that I would for something else and just pile on the hoodie. I'm just using hoodies. Hats. I used to collect hats all the time. I mean, every couple of weeks I'm at Lids. I got this hat club membership and I'm just throwing a fitted cap on. Well, now I don't really wear hats like that. You had locks, so it's not as easy. And I got
Yeah.
a pretty large cranium too, so I had to get like an 8, size 8. With those gifts that I do have, because I wasn't able to unlock them due to certain insecurities or people around me not doing like you and saying, man, just keep pushing and being motivated by certain things. I didn't have my own and like intrinsic. I hope I'm using that right, because I know people be slaughtering people that don't use words
Hey,
correctly.
I'm the wrong person to correct you, so sorry.
But where I'm internally like being able to say, yes, I do have gifts. I can't. I'm a good writer, and when until I hear it, it don't matter what you say. Oh, I can sing well. I can rap good. I can hoop. And then you see them. What? Why can't they hoop? Because you immediately comparing. Once we,
Mm,
as soon as we compare something, I'm not as tall as this person. I'm not as good as this person at this. You're cooked. You're done.
yeah,
So we should definitely focus on. Now I can focus on those gifts. These same connections I talked about. It's really hard to use them because I'll be focused on the next thing so quick, bro. Man, like it's probably from the last time we had that conversation, which was probably 2 months ago. I've made probably double those same connections. Like I'm in people DMs. I'm meeting people as I go. I be on the phone sometimes with somebody like, hold on, give me a second. Hey man, I'm Jay. I got this going on. Oh, cool. Let me know. So that's a gift. I'm not necessarily I'm not going to sell you a product. That's how I look at it. I'm the
Exactly.
product.
So,
My niceness is the product. I'm the
mm,
gift. I can give it. I care less about how many followers I got online.
mm,
I know the people I impact, and that's all I really need. So when the time comes, when the train is going, I'm doing the choo choo. It's gonna be so many people telling others about what I did for them that, for one, God gets the glory first.
mm,
Learn from them. I'm trying to unlearn to become who I really am.
mm,
So when I may not display the gifts or use the connections is mainly because I'm still trying to unlock and remove some of these other things first. And so it's not like I'm not trying to use them. No, I got the connections I got for a reason, and but also it gives me time to like decipher and have that discernment to be like, okay, yeah, that's a good connection, but I can't use that here.
mm.
Playing spades, whatever. Okay, I got 8 spades, but I don't want to cut nobody because if I cut, I don't read cards well. So if you ever played spades
Yeah,
with me and we won, sometimes I don't know how we won. It just worked out. I really didn't know what he had,
yeah,
and a lot of times we are just kind of operating out the seat of our pants. You know what I'm saying? Um, and as far as my children, my daughter, oldest daughter, going to high school, she's in cheer, but she ain't the best volleyball player. She's a scholar, like great in school, but she may not be the best organizer. All of that is okay because the main part is what she is good at. She really wants to do. She really desires. That's
mm,
track. That's school. That's cheer. Those are the things that she wants to do that she's good at. So we can focus on that. You can do these
yeah,
other things as hobbies. That's great, but as long as you focus in on what you can do and what you find out that maybe this ain't for me, we'll remove you from that and you can move past it. And then my middle child loves cheer, so we involve her in cheer. Like I want her to play basketball. I really did. She has the qualities, she has the skill, but that's not her focus. But when it comes to
yeah,
that cheer and flipping and stunning, that's what she wants to do. And as a parent, I feel like the longer and the more time we put into invest in our children and their needs, the easier providing for them can become. Because you start realizing the gifts that you give them are already in them. You
yeah,
thinking if I keep buying you shoes and Christmas, I'm spending $2,000 on Christmas that I got to pay off during tax refund season. I didn't even need to do that. You like cheer? I get you some new cheer shoes, a new mat, and pay for whatever the tuition, the membership fee for the year. That'll cover the Christmas gifts that you thought you needed to get. So I know those are two different gifts. We use them two different ways, but even just showing up. So I got a third child, my son. His gift is memorization. He loved dinosaurs. So I'm gonna buy him every single thing that's dinosaur related until he starts showing interest in something else. I don't force it onto him, but he still likes it. He still desires it. We by mistake, kind of desperation, bought him a little Spider-Man little blanket for school, and then he started liking Spider-Man. He ain't gonna put down the dinosaurs for the Spider-Man, but that's something else that can kind of take his attention off of the dinosaurs
yeah,
for a little bit, so he can start walking around like this. Shout out to all the the parents that got a kid that acts as if that thing you want that, right? Because
yeah,
when I was growing up, we would see things like this and would do
yeah,
stuff like that. We had the water guns and things like that, and then now our kids grow up, and a lot of them that's what they doing in real life. So I'd rather
yeah,
you look like you got a disability and
yeah,
no no hit on anybody with disability, but I'd rather you look like that's what you're trying to portray as far as a character or animal or whatever. and then know how to be poised and know the difference between a triceratops and a ankylosaurus or whatever dinosaur, whatever this topic is. I'd rather that than to be misguided and misdirected and not be able to display these things that is already in you. I think we just try so hard to, man, I didn't make the high school team, but my son is. I didn't get the ability, but I'm gonna make sure my daughter gets it. When, like you
Yeah.
said, just because they're talented in that doesn't mean that's something they desire. So if they do go into vet school, if they do become, you know, a broker or whatever, that's what they choose to do once they get their own autonomy. So, I mean, long story short, I just feel like we just have to do a better job training them and guiding them. And once we find out we can't do it, pass them along. Get out of the way. It takes a village. Let the village
Yeah.
help raise the children. And
Yeah.
that's
That's real, bro. No, definitely. Yeah, man, and I just look at it as we're sharing all these different things. One, I know y'all like, dang, this is what you got all from the episode. Yes, that's what I said. It's a
oh,
good
it's
episode.
heavy. We ain't even really. That's a lot he
Yeah,
said.
yeah. I didn't even share all the details with it, but definitely. But yes, this is the things that I just got from watching the clips and the bit that I did get to watch. And and this is just a reminder too for all of us, right? Like that comeback story, like thinking about Beasley, but also for us. Like when I say comeback, that doesn't mean you was just like homeless or something like that. That comeback could have been just you was in a bad place mentally, right? The comeback as far as maybe you lost your job, you got a new one. You was in the phase where you was in the season. I mean, where you couldn't get work at all. You was in a season where you lost your car. You was in a season where your kids weren't listening. You was in a season of right whatever those you was in a season where you're not being the best spouse. They're not being the best spouse. You're in the season. All these different seasons, right? All these different things that we
Right.
deal with, right? And just to encourage you guys that we can come back from it, right? No matter how far that we think we fall, we can come back from it. And so, if anything, I'm hoping that's what you guys take out of this episode is just the fact that we're going to deal with different things. We're going to have different hurdles, but we could come back from it, man. And so, that's what I
Rebound.
wanted. What you said, bro?
Rebound.
Rebound, bro. Rebound, exactly.
No pun
Excuse me.
intended. Mike
Yes,
Beasley
yes.
was one heck of a rebounder. So
Yes, yes. So from all of it, man, and like always, bro, I definitely appreciate you.
oh,
Your
no
time.
doubt, man. My
I don't take it
honor.
for
My
granted.
pleasure.
I definitely got to be back on yours too soon.
Yeah, we make that
Um,
happen like real.
yeah, yeah. I'm actually gonna tag you on this one too. When I finally learned how to do it on YouTube. Y'all don't
Okay.
judge me, but
We'll go to collab. We can collab. Those spot
oh yeah, yeah,
is
yeah,
up.
yeah. True, true. So, but yeah, guys. Before we go, right? Like always, you don't have to be perfect, but you always have to be present. See you guys on the next one.